Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Film Don't Lie University. I'm Brett Kollmann. That's Chris Harris, or potentially that's Chris Harris. I'm not sure which side I'm putting him on yet. But we are here today to teach you the ins and outs of route running and how you at home can identify what a good route looks like so that when you're watching games on Sundays, or if you have NFL Game Pass, if you're watching them back throughout the week, you can identify for yourself what makes a good route, what makes a good receiver from a technical aspect, and in a way, how you can use that to augment your fantasy knowledge as we go through the season. So it is hard to identify, or at the very least evaluate a route as you're watching a game live because, as we all know, the broadcast angle doesn't show everything, which is why I think it is important to have NFL Game Pass so you can get to the all 22 angle and see a route from start to finish. However, what you can see on the broadcast angle is probably the most important part of the route, and that's the release. So, Chris, I want you to take me through this Keenan Allen play against Miami. And Keenan, I think, at least in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinion, has the best release in pro football, which makes him a very dangerous route runner. Take me through that.
Quick dude, really quick. I mean, not a spectacular athlete, but very able to get off press coverage against just about anybody. As you said, this is against the Dolphins. This is a huge play. It's the end of the game. They're trying to set up for the game-winning field goal that they will wind up missing. And he approaches Xavier Howard, pretty good player. He approaches him directly, under control, but his feet are just perfect. His push-off ability is so omnidirectional that Xavier Howard looks like he got a case of the hiccups, right? Sort of a swing and a miss. He's stemming a little bit to the outside, but he jabs with that inside foot. He gives them the little stick nod go. For me, honestly, the way I know I'm seeing a great receiver is how the defensive back reacts. If the guy sort of misses, if he bobbles like that, if separation is gained so quickly, I think I'm watching a really good route runner.
Yeah, that was a good point you made about the stick nod. Normally when you're kind of approaching a corner and you square up on him and you kind of jab inside with that right foot while nodding a little bit, usually that's to kind of back the corner off that you can then take off upfield. Right. And so as he kind of jabs and nods inside, Howard, he doesn't really bite on it because he thinks it's setting him up for a go route, when in fact it's a double release, and he's setting him up for a go route that isn't actually being run, and then he plants again off that left foot and breaks back really flat inside. So he's kind of implementing some mind games here where it's nodding to make it look like a go, but it's really a nod go in, and it's that is one of the nastiest releases you'll see all year.
Right, and so the point is watch Xavier Howard. That's the thing, is watch the defensive back. Show me another Keenan Allen play. We decided to start with 2 Keenan Allen plays because, again, another defensive back who just... Poor Rasul Douglas. Take me through this one.
Yeah, it's kind of a fake release where he looks like he's running a burst route, and where you kind of slow play it. Again, you're still square to the receiver, and you want to burst inside, which is why the DB really
nasty.
He eats it, because he's expecting, the slow play release. He plants that left foot. He's expecting the burst inside for like a shallow drag, and boom, put that right foot in the ground, get back outside.
Pretty open.
His mind games are just as impressive as his physical ability because he knows exactly what a corner is looking for when he's reading a release, and he feeds it to him willingly to get him to go where he wants to go. I mean, he is, without a doubt, I think, the best release in football. A lot of people say Antonio Brown, but for me, it is Keenan Allen all day long. He is incredible.
Doug Baldwin, also not too bad. Let's just see another couple of examples of defensive backs looking stupid. We could probably start a YouTube channel just called Defensive Backs Looking Stupid. It'd be all good route runners. This is Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, and he's a pretty good player, and he moves into the slot because he knows that's where Doug Baldwin is. He's supposed to stick with Doug Baldwin here. He does not. I think for the Sunday game, observers start noticing this. When defenders react as though they're clowns, see how receivers are getting their releases. It starts to sort of become second nature when you're watching film on Sunday to see how guys are getting open. It's a big difference between somebody who's got a corner playing 15 yards off and he runs a little curl route and he's wide open. I'll take the yardage, But just going forward, when someone decides to play tight man on him like Roger Cromartie's doing here, he might not excel. Whereas Doug Baldwin making Roger Cromartie look stupid on this play, like, I think you get some specialness vibes here.
Yeah, it definitely speaks to how laterally explosive he is, because you can see how far he widens himself around Cromartie's reach as he's trying to get around him. I mean, he gets 3 yards in 2 steps. So that is super explosive. And again, that 37-inch vertical from before he came out in the draft shows up as he's climbing on top of him in that first 10-yard area. I mean, it's not just lateral explosiveness to get around him, but his vertical explosiveness to take advantage of that and climb on top for the touchdown. Doug Baldwin, you can't say he's got the best deep speed in the world. He's probably a high 4.4, low 4.5 kind of guy. But in terms of short area quickness and short area explosiveness, I mean, that's what makes him a truly remarkable route runner is he can get in that 5-yard box instantly. He's fun to watch. And he even got, a former All-Pro corner with that same kind of jab move and that same lateral explosiveness last year in Josh Norman, who you can kind of see just almost like a boxer ducking a jab. Boom. Just plant that foot, duck under it. No, he didn't even touch him.
He wasn't even like lay a hand on him. I'm standing 2 yards away from you, and I can't even touch you.
That's like a Manny Pacquiao in his prime type of duck. That is. I almost kind of wonder if he was doing MMA training because it was almost instinctive. It's like you just see fist, duck, boom. And, I think this is something that you can very easily see during the broadcast because you don't really need the All-22 to see that release. And this is something you should pay attention to. Just like Chris said, if somebody is clowning a DB at the line of scrimmage with their release, more often than not, they're going to be wide open downfield because the most important part of the route to win is the release. And if they're winning it this bad, and you can see he's got 15 yards of separation because of how good he is on the release. So this is something you really need to pay attention to, and it's why Doug Baldwin will always be like a 90-plus catch kind of receiver because he can toast people at the line of scrimmage.
Quick break to say thank you to Lisa for sponsoring Film Don't Lie University today. This series could not have happened without our sponsors, so we hope that you will consider patronizing them. And Lisa stepped up in a major way. If you've been thinking you need a new mattress, I personally can vouch for Lisa. I've been sleeping on one for a couple of years, came delivered direct to my door, and you cut open the box and it inflates. It's very cool. Lisa knows just because I think it's comfortable doesn't necessarily mean you'll think it's comfortable. So they give you 100 risk-free nights to try it out. You will never get that from a retail mattress store. Lisa's better in that regard. I once had a mattress store call me up after a week and say, hey, are you good with it? Because it's your mattress. And I was like, I'm not sure. And in the end, wound up replacing it with a Lisa. We can get you $160 off your new Lisa if you click the link below me in the show notes. I think it's just lisa.com/FDLU. And thank you so much to Lisa for sponsoring. Now, let's get back to more film.
Welcome back. We're going to jump right back into it, and we're going to talk about something a little bit different than releases. We're going to talk about something you can't see when you're watching the broadcast. And again, it's why I encourage you to get NFL Game Pass so you can see it on the All-22. And that's called a sight adjust. And a sight adjust is when a receiver identifies the coverage that he's being played on. Whether it's a different technique, if it's like press or trail or stack or anything like that. He identifies the technique, or if it's a zone, he identifies a certain zone coverage, and he adjusts his route mid-route based on that coverage. And I think one of the best examples I've ever seen of that is from one of the best route runners of the last 15, 20 years, and that's Andre Johnson. This play is from 2013, back when the Texans were a 2-win team. But it's really stuck with me for years as teaching tape of how to properly adjust your route after the snap. And he's going against a very young Richard Sherman here. Sherman, who's in his 3rd year in the league at this point. He's an all-pro corner. He's at the top of his game. Everybody respects him as arguably the best corner in the league at this time. And you can see Sherman stack on top of Andre Johnson because it's late in the 4th quarter. They know they're passing. And Sherman wants to impede Johnson's progress downfield as much as humanly possible. Again, this is called stack technique. And Johnson, he's running a 15-yard out route here, which is going to be a little bit flat. It means he's turning it a little bit back towards the sticks as he breaks because he wants to put his body in between Sherman and the ball. And so he understands that, again, because it's off play action, he has to properly time this route, and he does not have time to get stacked up by Sherman. He doesn't have time to have his route impeded and blocked by Sherman's body. He has to get upfield immediately so that he can break immediately and be at the sideline on time for Matt Schaub to deliver that ball. If he is late, Schaub will get sacked. That's just how the play is designed. So you can see him kind of cut behind Sherman a little bit to free himself from that stack. And at this point, Sherman actually thinks that he's stemming back inside to run a go route. So he starts hauling butt to get downfield because he thinks that Andre just kind of double stemmed him. However, Sherman was right the first time, and Andre made him think he was wrong. So you can see Andre break down to that 15-yard marker, and Sherman now, he doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. And then the ball's coming out on time before he even finishes his break because Schaub trusts Andre to get to that spot. He puts it high where only Andre can get there, and Sherman gives that 2 yards of separation Andre needs simply because Andre set him up for failure. Sherman was right in terms of his coverage technique at the beginning of this route, but Andre recognized he was right and then tricked him into thinking he was wrong so that he could make him actually wrong, if that makes sense. It's all about mind games, and that's what side adjusts are. You want to adjust your route to counter how the DB is playing you so that your route that might have been covered adequately before can become uncovered. And it's a big part of the rhythm passing game in terms of helping out your quarterback and getting to your spot on time. And if you have the intelligence and you have the route running acumen to properly adjust your routes, automatically your targets and your receptions and your overall production is going to go up because your quarterback will trust you to make him correct.
Agreed. Now I'm going to show you a play from the last century. That was an old play. But an example that's a different kind of example, but it's Amari Cooper, who hasn't had all that many great moments in the recent past. But so Amari Cooper on this play against the Chiefs last year, he knows he's running a stop, and he sees that Terrence Mitchell, who's the corner here, is playing outside technique, right? So watch Cooper as he sort of approaches, right? He's trying to get Mitchell to give him some space, and he's going to fake a fly. He's going to angle the route to the outside. He's doing this based on what he's seeing from the defensive back. He knows the play. Derek Carr better understand that I'm running a stop here. Otherwise, we're not going to have a completion in a very high-scoring game. So he's going to angle to the outside, and then he's going to break off the stop. I think we talk about Amari Cooper being a savvy route runner. And this is what we mean. We mean the ability to set up a defensive back, much as one of the greatest ever that you just showed us, Brett, with Andre Johnson doing it. This is a different skill, a different moment here. I would say just generally with Amari Cooper, my note would be don't drop the ball. He does not drop the ball in this play, which is pretty rare. We had to search pretty long before we could find that he didn't drop. So hooray for that. But, and actually this is a play you could see what was coming when they showed the replay. So sometimes you will on a Monday night, like this game was, or on a Sunday, you'll see a replay and be like, oh, I see what he did there. I see how he got open. And this is purely cerebral. This is purely Amari Cooper outthinking the defensive back to get open.
And in terms of probably the opposite of Amari Cooper, I can't think of somebody who is more opposite of Amari Cooper than Devin Funchess. So why don't we get into some routes that are bad examples of route running so that you can recognize as you're watching a game what a bad route looks like and what not helping out your quarterback looks like. And this is a good/bad example from Devin Funchess, however you want to word it. He's going against Xavier Rhodes here. And this route is so bad that I legitimately don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a slant or I don't know if it's a post. Either way, it's not run well. If it's a slant, he's supposed to be flattening this off a lot more than he is. I mean, he's drifting 5 yards upfield before he even gets the ball. I mean, you cannot drift that far upfield on a slant, or else guys like Xavier Rhodes will have the opportunity to come through the back door and undercut you, just like he did here. Why he was drifting this far, I have no idea. And if it wasn't a slant, if he was trying to run a post, he ran it equally bad, because on a post, you're supposed to really kind of sell vertically, lean your shoulder into the DB, kind of out-physical him, keep him wide with your body, and then snap it off flat inside. So no matter what, either he broke inside too early on a post or he drifted too far upfield on a slant. Either way, this was terrible. And either way, Cam Newton had no shot of this ball being complete because his receiver did not help him out at all with a good route. So this is literally reason number one why they drafted DJ Moore, is because Devin Funchess is not a number one wide receiver. if he's going to run a route like this against Xavier Rhodes, he is not a number one wide receiver. So again, keep an eye out for bad routes just like this one.
Right. I mean, I would say, would you agree? It's some kind of in-breaking route, but it just doesn't show a ton of awareness. And I think you can tell when any player, especially a receiver on a route, doesn't have a lot of awareness. And I think that's the kind of thing that stands out the moment you start to watch receiver routes, don't you?
Yeah, it's like, do you recognize who you're going up against here, dude? Like, this is Xavier Rhodes.
Yeah, that's a good player. Yeah.
You got to bring your A game against an all-pro type of corner. Like, you cannot run a lazy route against Xavier Rhodes, or Cam Newton will throw an interception. Not that it was Cam's fault, but you have to help out your quarterback when you're going up against a really good corner. You cannot afford to be lazy, and that route was straight up lazy.
Right. And so another example, just to show you another one of where the receiver just isn't showing the kind of awareness. I think if you see these kind of couple of plays, you'll start to see it with other players too. This is Paul Richardson when he played for the Seahawks way back last season. What are you selling here? That's my question. He sort of seems to be flummoxed by the fact that Marcus Williams, who's the corner here, has safety help, and so therefore isn't going to bite super hard on his route. I think that's what Richardson thinks he can get him to bite, but Williams doesn't need to because he's got safety help. So he sort of rounds off this route. It's a corner route, and really he hangs out Russell Wilson to dry. In real time, I think you could see this. I watched the broadcast view of this, and when they showed highlights, maybe that's not real time, but like watching it on Sunday, doesn't mean the receiver can never get open. We're not trying to say that Paul Richardson's a terrible player or anything like that, but it's a red flag. Like, come back to the ball. You said it. Help your quarterback. Don't run a lazy route and come back to the ball. Like, don't assume, look at the coverage, like, I can't possibly be the target on this one. Sometimes you will get thrown the ball because they don't have a choice. So run your dang route and don't give up on it. I'm not saying that I hate Paul Richardson. That's really not the point of Film Don't Lie University. We're not picking on individual players because we just don't like them. We're trying to get you watching the games to get this cumulative sense about players. We know that whether the good stuff they do is repeatable.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Thank you again for that. And thank you guys for watching. Hopefully we taught you a little bit today about what to look for in a good route, whether it's a good release at the line of scrimmage or a good side adjust downfield, or even just having the awareness to help out your quarterback. And hopefully we taught you what a bad route looks like too, because that's just as important as knowing what's good and what's bad. Subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Chris's channel. We both put out film content every week, every day, because after all, the film does not lie, no matter what. And thank you guys again for watching. We will be back soon with more content. We'll see you then.